This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of The Bad Batch, Episode 7, titled Battle Scars. And this was a good episode. I think this is probably my second favorite episode of the series, with the premiere being the only one above it. And of course, there will be spoilers, so you've been warned, but now let's go in. In this episode, we see some crazy things. When they first start off, the Bad Batch is flying in from another job where they have captured a space lizard for Sid. They are in a space battle, and almost immediately after, they are forced to pull out into hyperspace after it is repaired, and they've returned to Sid, where they learn they have a big debt with her, and we learn that Wrecker isn't making things any better, as he's always putting stuff on Sid's tab when he gets space popcorn. And really, it is pretty crazy when you see a hooded figure sitting in the seat of an Ithorian, I believe, and a Weequay. Sorry, I can't think of the species off the top of my head right now. Pretty sure it was those two. And they're saying that this person is in their seat. And this is very similar to the "he doesn't like you" scene from A New Hope. And this, again, is filled with a crazy scene with the person firing, although it is not as extreme as getting an arm cut off. These two still run away. And I don't know, I feel like they're going to be used as gags for the rest of the show, just to kind of mess with them, since they've been kind of messed with in each of these episodes that take place in Sid's bar. But looking at it and everything, this figure is revealed to be Rex, who was the one in contact with the Martez sisters. And when I was thinking, this probably was the most logical person for them to contact. And it looks like I was right. I was definitely close between them and Bail Organa, but it made a little more sense for Rex, especially because of the connection to Ahsoka. And I believe I mentioned that last week, but I may have been thinking a little differently, but with time, I definitely realized it had to be Rex. And Rex is there. He's pretty excited to see his old friends until he sees something really bad happen. He sees that Wrecker has a headache, and he realizes extremely quickly what's going on. And this Rex is basically the viewer, where they know what's going on, even though everyone else in the show is completely oblivious. And Rex is terrified and reaches for his blasters. The Batch is confused for a moment, and Rex explains they have to get their inhibitor chips out as soon as possible. They'll be putting Omega in danger if they don't. Bad Batch asks how could they do it. Rex says he'll be in contact. And really, if you think of it, this is the way an episode could have ended, setting up an episode in the future. They could have had a completely different plot for this episode, but they didn't. They immediately go to Braca, which is the planet that Cal Kestis was fighting on with Jedi Master Jared Paul and that one Yellow Legion of Clone Troopers. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed what they are from, since we do know of other ones like the 501st and 212th, but specifically, we do not know which that one was, but I wouldn't be surprised if, since we're likely seeing the planet, we see a small cameo from Kel in the next episode. But let's continue on with the episode, and I'll get to that in a moment. Looking at this episode, we continue on. They go and cross into a Venator Star Destroyer. They did land in a wreckage of a different one, or a different ship. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they go over to a more intact Venator and start to cross. And they have to cross a line, a yellow line, which is a nice callback to Fallen Order, since that's how the ropes were in the game, that you could climb up. And instead they use it more as a wire, and they're climbing across to get to the other side, since there is a large opening. And finally Wrecker has to go, and his fear of heights and more extreme weight causes a big problem for him, as the rope snaps on one side, and he has to start climbing, but is attacked by a Dianoga, which is one of the creatures from A New Hope, the one that was in the trash compactor and attacked Luke. But that one was not able to eat him, and it seemed the same thing happened with Wrecker, although this was a much bigger one, which makes things kind of interesting for me to think of, since we have seen that a Death Star's Dianoga seemed to be a lot smaller. So I'm thinking that one possibility is that this one is a lot bigger and now is trying to actually eat people, because I'm guessing that Dianoga tried to eat Luke, but it was too small, so it couldn't, and that's why this one is trying to eat Wrecker since it's a lot bigger, which we definitely saw. And while watching it, I thought that it might have been something else that I heard from the talks about in other episodes with this planet, it being some kind of giant Sarlacc-like creature, but it was Dianoga, from what people have said is in the subtitles. And if that's wrong, it's kind of on the other videos I've watched that are saying it's a Dianoga. But let's go back and continue with this episode. Wrecker is able to escape, and they make it to the medical facility on the ship. They're pretty easily able to power it up. They're getting Wrecker ready for his treatment, where they go and use almost every trigger word for Order 66, including but not limited to Order 66, Jedi, General, Padawan, Jedi General. I'm not sure about that last one, but I'm pretty sure they said it. Surviving Jedi, they committed treason. It's just so much. And you see Wrecker just getting a worse and worse headache from it. And right before they're about to put him under for the surgery, he goes and has his inhibitor chip activate. And funny enough, I was talking to a friend earlier before the episode, and I was like, yeah, if Wrecker turns, I'm guessing it's going to be like a horror movie. And yeah, I was right. It was shot very similar to a horror movie where Wrecker is just mindlessly walking around, looking for them and attacking. He is very hard to take down because of his large size, and is swiping away any weapons used on him. He ultimately follows Omega into another medical bay where she's hiding, and we get a nice twist on that. They're hiding, but they're in a different spot where that does happen, and Omega seems to be relieved, but Wrecker is able to come back and find her right after that, and that is very intense. He is about to kill her, saying that she is conspiring with traitors, which makes her a traitor, but Rex is able to stun him, and the surgery is done on the rest of the clones without really a hitch happening, and they finally are able to be free from the control of the inhibitor chips. And finally, Rex and Hunter begin to talk. Rex wants to have some help from them to fight up against the Empire, but Hunter says that it can't be done right now, and he has to do what's best for his squad, but still needs to figure out what that is. And Rex does tell him that he will be able to figure it out, and when he does make his decision, if he decides to join him, to contact him, but if they need him, he'll be there. Rex leaves, but we learn the Scrapper Guild is now alerted to their presence, and the Scrapper Guild is going to contact the Empire, which basically confirms there'll be a confrontation with them on this planet, including some footage from trailers going with it. But why would they stay? I would like to answer that question now. So, like I was saying, you're probably wondering, they got the inhibitor chips removed. Why don't they just bail now? Because even if they don't know the Empire is being contacted, they would want to leave as quickly as possible. And I could just be going straight towards their ship, and by the time that message is made, they could be off planet. But from trailer footage, we know that's probably not going to happen. And they'll be confronting almost certainly Crosshair and his new squad on this Venator. And I'm probably wondering what's going to happen. And I know for almost certainly what will be the reason. I think I have two good reasons. One is they're going to try to gain some big information to try to pay off the debt with Sid. And my other theory, which is, a little more logical, and I feel like the other one is still possible, and they're going to find something, but that's not the reason they stayed back. I think the reason is to be able to harvest the equipment from the medical bay so they can set it up on their ship or create a more mobile version of it so they can remove the inhibitor chips of any clones they encounter, especially Crosshair, and that definitely seems like what will happen. And although I kind of don't want it to happen next episode, I wanted to wait for a little longer. I think they may be able to capture Crosshair and use these devices to remove his inhibitor chip. Although I think it would be a little more interesting if they were forced into a retreat and had to do it in the future. But I definitely think the reason they're staying behind is to harvest this equipment, remove it, and take it out so they can use this to remove the inhibitor chips like I mentioned. And next episode, which is the midpoint of the season, we will see an epic confrontation once again between Crosshair, his new team of recruited soldiers, and the Bad Batch, which I'm very excited for going into this episode specifically. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my second favorite episode of the season so far, and really for the entire show since it's only one season. And the only one I like more is the premiere, since so much more happened. And really, I think that Rex being in it is not the one and only reason this is the second best one. In fact, if Rex was only in it for the first about 5 minutes where he tells them of it and doesn't follow them, it would still be an extremely good episode, although they would have to make a few jumps in conclusion, which maybe bring it down a little bit. Them knowing specifically where to place it and where to go, but you could say that Rex uploaded the footage or information to them. But yeah, I think this was a lot better with Rex in it, and he's really just, what is it, like the icing on the cake or whatever. This was such a good episode, and I loved Wrecker's turn. As I mentioned, I was talking with a friend how it's probably going to be a very horror movie, and I loved it. The thing is, I'm not ever really scared in a horror movie, but the tension is always built up pretty well. And I think the tension here is very good. I loved how this is getting more and more intense, and how Wrecker was basically like, you know, Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers or someone else. And that was extremely intense. I loved that, scene. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, just, individual scenes from the show. And with this, I am very excited to see where it continues, how Rex will partner with the Bad Batch in the future. And I have another theory about Rex and his involvement, but I think I'm going to save it for another video. I believe I briefly mentioned it last week, but I want to go a little more in depth with it in a theory. Really looking out next week. I know I have a few videos already planned. I am releasing on Monday a fight between Homelander, Omni-Man, and Justice Superman. It was a little shorter, so I decided to release it on Monday so I can have a little longer videos. On Tuesday, I'm reviewing the show Beware the Batman, which I recently watched, and I remember I didn't enjoy it that much when I was younger, so go to that and see if I still think the same. But I did only watch the first half of the show, since that's all that aired when I was a little kid, or when I was younger, and it's definitely became better with time and with the more episodes. If you want to learn if that's true, go watch that video. That'll be releasing Tuesday. And Wednesday, of course, I'll have reviews of both Loki and everything that happened in the Arrowverse over the next week. And Thursday, I'm thinking of a few videos. I haven't fully confirmed what I'm going to do yet. I'm thinking either that Rex theory or possibly a continuation of that one series I began about a month ago, and I could be going over a fight, not really a fight, a comparison between the characters of Batman and Zemo, or Batman and Thrawn. I'm thinking Batman and Zemo right now, since I'm still reading the second Thrawn prequel book, and I want to finish that up before I do that video. But yeah, that's really it. I am very excited for the show and what's going on next week. Oh, and then I also should have a review of the classic General Grievous Starfighter out next Friday, and another video about the Bad Batch next Saturday. But really, with this, I am very excited for the rest of the Bad Batch. Cannot wait. And I'm excited for the mid-season episode next week. It's, technically a mid-season finale. That usually implies there's a break, but there's not going to be a break. So this is going to be just, the mid-season episode. You could technically call it the mid-season finale, but it will, have episodes immediately after. It's going to be sort of similar to how The Flash is this year, since The Flash has its, mid-season finale, but it was followed by only a week-long break, and continue on with the Cisco episode that came out this week. But it's going to be served in a similar way to the streaming show, where the mid-season finale will always be followed by another episode. But yeah, I can't wait to see that, and I'm so excited to see where this continues. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please like the video, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends, and may the Force be with you.